whoa.
And then suddenly kissing.
Yeah. Hey, Maniacs.
Hey, Mystery Maniacs. Mystery Maniacs is a comedy recap podcast dedicated to mystery TV, and each week we dig into an episode of the show, including the murders, the mayhem, the loonies, and everything else we love. This week,
Brokenwood, Season 7, Episode 5, Exposed to the Light.
I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah. Hello, person.
Hi, Sarah. You look wonderful today.
No, it's lovely.
Lovely.
Gina says, I say to the body, hello, person. And they say, hello, Gina. You look lovely today.
Gina,
I cannot do her accent.
Gina
I'm not even trying.
Officially makes me uncomfortable in this episode.
She should be reprimanded.
Yes.
For not doing her job well. But before we get into that, let's talk about other stuff. Before we get grumpy about that, let's be grumpy about Midsummer.
Yes. Before we start, it is a spoiler podcast, and so we're going to ruin the ending of all sorts of movies. And if you let your kids go to the theater, which you should.
I guess, yeah. Sticky
they can
floors
listen
and
to the podcast.
Overly priced popcorn.
What is going on with Midsummer? Oh, gosh.
Don't know, but it's bad.
You know, sometimes you create a podcast for 6 years. We've been almost going 6 years on a show that we absolutely love. Midsummer Murders. We covered every single episode. We will cover every single episode of the new series. We love it. We have loved it from the very beginning.
Which is why we have high expectations for it.
We have.
Which is why we are so incredibly disappointed.
High expectations. But this week, they have stumbled.
On Instagram, they started posting reels about their new merch line, their new 25th anniversary merch line.
Yes, so Nick Hendricks, who plays the sergeant on the new series, is he's going through some of the merchandise that is available.
Showing it off.
Yeah.
And he's a good actor because he actually pretends to be excited about it.
The merch is... now, first of all, if you want to send us a bunch of merch, we'll take it.
Yeah, we'll even take your disappointing merch. No. I'll take one of those tea towels.
Take the tea towel.
The tea towel
and
kicks
the
ass.
Cute little picture on the tea towel. That is the only thing worth purchasing.
It looks like a blue and white china pattern, but when you look very closely at it, there are people like murdering each other.
Yes.
And that's clever. I like that.
Yep.
But I think they sunk their entire design budget into that one design and then just phoned in the rest of them.
No, what they did was they phoned somebody who had never seen the show and had that person explain to them what the show is like and what a good podcast would be to listen to. And then that person ignored that and went away and made t-shirts.
And typed some words like visited Midsummer, survived. That's a shirt. You just put your head on your microphone.
They had a chance. I hate potential that is squandered.
I would have given them some of our designs. We've got some fun ones. You could have had them.
Yep.
I don't care.
Yep.
Sell ours.
Needless to say,
remake ours. Make them better. I don't care.
On the Midsummer Murders subreddit, we were not the only ones not impressed.
The other thing that they've done, and they seem to be having like a promotional push for the 25, which is great. I'm glad they're doing that. But whoever's responsible for it is really phoning it in and half-assing it.
Yes.
They've got another post where Jeff Povy, is that right? That's his name?
That's his name.
One of the writers who's written many episodes is sitting in a folding chair with a raggedy piece of paper talking to the camera. You can't hear him because the music is so loud over the clip.
And Jeff is not a public speaker.
He's a writer. It's filmed from, 500 feet away. So you can't even read his lips to even try to hear what he's saying. But the bottom line is he's saying, hey, send in questions and actors will answer them.
Yes.
But that is after 2 minutes of him sort of rambling about various things that he's written or not written or lines that are good or not good or whatever. It's like he's just filling time.
You can't hear him.
And you can't hear him.
Did they actually look at the reel
No, they
before
didn't. They didn't watch it before they posted it. They didn't. Or they would have turned the music down in the mix.
It's a simple thing. It takes 5 minutes or less.
Listen, Midsummer Murders people behind this. You don't even have to pay us.
You all work hard.
Just fly us over, pay for room and board, and we will run a campaign for you.
Yep.
That is better than what you have.
Yeah, we'll do that.
I don't even expect a salary. We'll come over for a month. We'll kick ass. And all of our maniacs will help us.
Yes.
We make this offer because what you're doing right now is underselling the awesomeness of that show.
Yeah. But we do find out the name of an episode.
Of the first episode of season 26.
We think it's the first. We don't know.
Right.
But he tends to do the first episode.
It's called Death Strikes 3.
So this will be his 8th episode that he's written. Death Strikes 3.
It's got to be about a clock.
Clockmakers, perhaps?
It's got to be.
3 deaths, perhaps?
Or bowling.
Oh. I hadn't thought of that.
It could be bowling.
They do that sometimes where they take 2 things that are slightly tangentially
and
related
mash them up
and mash them together.
It could be a clockmakers bowling league where somebody gets murdered.
That's a possibility.
We should be writing this shit. Come on.
Midsummer, you could do better.
One thing we watched this week that was better than I expected it to be, which is the opposite of our experience with this Midsummer campaign.
By the way, prepare to be stunned.
Which is completely outside the box of anything else we talk about, is a new movie on Netflix called K-Pop Demon Hunters.
It is fantastic.
It is. It's really, really fun. I did not expect it to be. I thought it was like, put it on, it'll be annoying, it'll be in the background.
We don't like K-pop.
I put my knitting down to watch because it was fun.
We don't like K-pop.
No, not at all.
We don't like anime.
No.
We don't generally watch kids' movies or animated movies. We don't tend to do any of those things.
No, but
those songs are catchy.
A friend of ours was like, have you watched K-Pop Demon Hunters? And we're like, no, get on with yourself. And then we have how many channels?
1 million.
And we couldn't find anything to watch. So let's watch K-Pop Demon Hunters. And it was really good. So if you have Netflix.
When we left the room, we paused it. There you go.
Yeah. Because we didn't want to miss any of it. It's clever.
It is.
It's very clever.
It's fun.
So if you need some brain candy and you got Netflix, check out K-Pop Demon Hunters. Elsewhere on subreddit, there have been some really awesome threads going on, some really great discussions. And I only mention it because I just want to encourage people. Reddit is not scary. Our subreddit is a friendly place. If you go nowhere else on Reddit, come to the Mystery Maniac subreddit. And you don't even have to post about the episodes that we're talking about.
Nope.
You don't even have to post about Mystery TV.
Nope.
You can just post about stuff that you think other maniacs would be interested in.
There are more than 300 like-minded people right there.
And it's really fun.
I moderate it, so nobody's going on saying stupid stuff or anything.
There's no racist crap on there or politics or anything else like that.
Anything that they shouldn't be posting.
No, it's just all maniac stuff. For example, this week there was a great discussion about series of books that people like.
Yes.
And it was really fun. And I got some ideas for things that I want to read. I would just encourage everybody to give it a shot.
I would agree.
Okay. Are you ready to talk Exposed to the Light?
Original air date, 26th of April, 2021. Directed by Addie Walker, who played Amy in the Spider episode.
Oh.
And written by Roy Ward.
How many days does this episode take place over? If the murder is on a Sunday night, when does the episode end?
It all depends when the open house is, because at first I was like...
No, from the time of the murder to the time that it's solved. And the murder happens on a Sunday night. When do they solve it?
I think 2 or 3 days at most.
I think they solve it on Tuesday morning.
Okay. That's a pretty quick turnaround.
I think it's an incredibly short turnaround. And I don't know what time it's airing on Sunday night, but they do a lot before the end of that first day.
Well, Mike teleports back and forth to the hospital.
I was just so confused. They kept saying like, well, this morning or tonight. I'm like, wait, what? This is the same day as the murder still?
The time is all weird in this episode.
So it centers around the Brokenwood Empire Cinema.
Yes.
Which is an old-timey movie theater in Brokenwood, and they're airing The Wind from the South.
Which is pure colonialism cinema.
It's like Gone with the Wind, crossed with Song of the South, crossed with New Zealand, colonial stuff.
With an earthquake.
There is the earthquake. Which I'm not surprised that they feature an earthquake in the movie. Do you know how many earthquakes happen in New Zealand per year? Guess.
No idea. 200.
More.
Wow.
More. Guess again.
400.
More. Guess again.
1,000.
More.
A year.
20,000 a year. Now, most of them are too low on the Richter scale for anybody to feel.
Okay.
But there are approximately 250 a year that people feel in some way.
Okay, dudes, get off those islands, man.
In the entirety of the U.S. per year, how many do you think there are total? And the ones we can and cannot feel, how many do you think there are?
1,200.
Yes, about 1,200 in the U.S.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry, 12,000 in the U.S.
Okay.
But that is the entire
of the United States.
Most of the continent. Yeah.
Yes.
12,000 a year.
Wow.
And only about 30 that we can feel. So they have like 10 times more that they can feel.
Wow.
So an earthquake being in the movie really isn't that big of a deal, except that it required the actors to be like, whoa.
And then suddenly kissing.
Yeah. Well, if you're going to catch a lady, you got to kiss her, right? Charlotte Chambers is the actress who stars in the movie.
Yes.
When do you think this movie was released? The film that they are watching. It's a black and white film.
It's a black and white movie. Don't they say something about 50 years ago?
Maybe. If they did, I missed it.
If that was the case, it would be in the 70s.
Which wouldn't be right.
Yeah.
So color movies, with like Technicolor became like dominant in the late 30s.
Yeah.
Early 40s. Which if Charlotte was 20 years old when she was in the movie, would make her like 110.
Yeah.
Even if New Zealand was behind or it was a small production and they couldn't afford color, let's give them 1950. That means she's like 95.
I read at least 2 articles on, in particularly, Maori cinema. And Maori cinema has been going on since the teens, the 19-teens.
That's awesome. On the movie poster, it says Roy L. Vincent Presents.
Yes.
And directed by Klaus Vonderberg. He's not native to New Zealand.
No, he's not. And of course, there's all these colonial jests and things that are going on with this cinema. And certainly when I did research into New Zealand film history, it's all there.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Now,
So it's a movie about a white woman falling in love with a Maori man.
Yes.
And the big deal about the film is that it's the first feature film filmed in Brokenwood.
Yes.
And that the stars, Charlotte Chambers and Patu Elliott, were locals.
Yes.
So that was a big deal.
There's an interracial kiss in it.
Yeah.
Which would have been surprising into the 60s.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So
wasn't it a big deal when it happened in Star Trek?
Yes, it was a huge deal when it happened in Star Trek.
So they're having this big film viewing of the film, and Charlotte comes to be there, and it's a big deal, right?
We have way more to talk about in the first 90 seconds of this movie than that. Did you see?
Mark looked at every single poster, flyer, handbill, sticker, postage stamp, post-it.
We're not even getting to the movie posters yet.
Okay.
Did you see the strange head on a shelf?
No.
If you come around to my screen, you could see the strange head on the shelf that...
There's a head on the shelf.
Behind the bartender.
It looks like a cross between a young Einstein and Groucho Marx.
With a little bit of Gene Shalit thrown in there.
Oh! Wasn't Gene Shalit a movie critic?
Yes.
Maybe it is Gene Shalit.
Okay. So there's that weirdness.
There's also Karma Cola. Chameleon Cola.
Karma Cola. Do you know what that is?
I know what Karma is. I know what Cola is.
Okay, Karma Cola is an actual drink company from Australia.
Cool.
And what they do is they make sodas that are all organic and it's not from Australia. It's Kiwi owned.
So it's New Zealand.
Yes, it's New Zealand. And every drink goes to help villages in Sierra Leone.
That's a little product placement going on.
It is, in fact, a little product placement going on. So they have not only super cool ethic, okay, but the designs on their packages are fantastic. So they have a Karma Cola, which is just cola, and they have diet version. But they also have a lemonade named Lemmy.
Okay.
And Lemmy is actually on the lemonade. He's a little lemon.
Okay.
That is cute, and he's on the
People
box.
from New Zealand are like Snorefest.
They also have a
We've seen
ginger
these.
ale called Gingerella,
Oh, that's fun.
which has a young lady who is a ginger on their.
She has red hair.
Yeah, she has red hair, and so that's all normal. Then they have a raspberry lemonade, which I think looked super good too. So I think we should order a couple of these now. Unfortunately, they only send in packs of 15.
That's worse than the pies.
Yes. So
I can't imagine what shipping is. They'll be so heavy.
I will consult with Sarah as to what
Whether
we
should
order.
Have a Karma Cola tasting. And if you're from New Zealand or you've tried Karma, one of this brand's flavors, not cola, and you think one of them's best, recommend them to us.
I would like to order some because it helps people in Sierra Leone.
It's a good cause,
It's a
and
good
it's a fun brand.
and it'd be fun to do that. And plus, it's Gingerella. Okay, I have in my notes. I've been working on these notes for 15 minutes, and I'm only 1 minute and 45 seconds into the episode because
it's kind of like this podcast episode.
the next room they go into has a bunch of fake movie posters, including The Silent Violence.
Yes. A lot of the movie posters are for horror movies.
Yes.
They're like illustrations for horror movies, like Return from the Swamp.
Yes. And not all dogs are something. Oh my gosh. I literally took 24 screenshots.
Is that the opposite of All Dogs Go to Heaven?
I guess I was trying. And then there's a movie just called The Screamer.
Oh, we're going to talk about movie titles here in a minute.
Are we? So the film begins and they do that cute little thing where the film takes over the screen and we watch the film, and there's really only 2 scenes shown.
There's the earthquake scene and the waterfall scene.
Yes.
And that's pretty much it.
Yes. And then you hear what you never want to hear in a theater, which is fire. Now, I want to talk about this scene with the fire because Mike and Daniel Chalmers do the right thing that cops are supposed to do, which is run towards danger, not away from it.
Right.
That's what cops do.
Yep.
Right? Mike picks up a fire extinguisher, and there is flames in the projection booth.
Not CGI flames.
And Mike puts them out.
Yeah.
The insurance people must have been like, no.
Well, you don't know what kind. I mean, like they could have been extremely contained.
Well, I'm sure it was absolutely contained. I believe the people who make Brokenwood want to ensure the safety of their actors and things like that. But I bet you Neil Ray was really excited to do that.
Oh,
because
yeah.
that's a thing that actors very rarely get to do.
Yeah. You get to actually use it. Have you ever used a fire extinguisher?
I've never used a fire
Me
extinguisher.
either.
So.
I'm glad I've never had to, but I've always thought it looked kind of like fun.
Yep.
So the projectionist is Colin Stubley,
Who is not dead.
No, but he is so over the top, like
Yes.
totally drunk, smoking like 10 cigarettes at once,
Yep.
raising a glass, like just
There's no vape here.
his nose is red, he's
Yeah.
stumbly.
He likes to pee from high places.
Is that a thing?
I do not know because I have never done it.
But like, Would you want to?
No.
Given the opportunity, you don't think it would be fun?
No.
If it was totally safe and nobody could see you and there was no chance of anybody being offended by you doing it, you wouldn't think it would be fun?
No, I don't. That whole part of me, I don't like.
that like dudes peeing on things part.
It's just,
Night Trial, is that right?
Yes.
Films?
Yes. Nitrite.
Nitrite. Extremely flammable.
Oh,
they want to catch fire. Can I catch fire? Huh? I'm just sitting here. Can I catch fire?
I bet you didn't know that this was going to take the turn that it's about to take. Do you know about nitrite films and the Olympics? No. So the Olympic torch is lit in Greece each year. Mm-hmm. Do you know how it's lit?
From a flame?
No. They take a piece of nitrite film to the Acropolis or some space in Greece.
Yeah.
And on a sunny day, and the light from the sun reflected, they use like a reflected shield around it, lights. So they get the light, the heat and the energy from the sun. It lights the film on fire. And that's what starts the Olympic torch every single time the Olympic torch is started.
Why film? Why not a fuse or...
Because it is so incredibly flammable.
A Molotov cocktail.
It's so incredibly flammable. When I saw that, I was like, wow.
It's so easy to ignite.
It's so easy to ignite. And I got to think.
I mean, they didn't do that in ancient times, obviously.
No.
But.
Really? Sarah, I never knew.
Maybe it's frames of footage from when Germany hosted the Olympics during the war.
Maybe.
Because everybody wants to burn that memory.
This is the part of the episode where I feel sorry for Oliver. Don't worry. We'll get to the point in the episode where I don't feel sorry for Oliver.
Oliver, Lyle's brother, who lives in the red house.
Yes.
Every room in his house is painted
It's red. Well, that's what drives him to sleep with his partners.
His brother's girlfriend?
Partners. Yes.
Even way back when.
Yeah. What?
Well,
Never.
Karma. He's dying.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Of what?
We don't need to know that. That's personal.
Anyway,
why is that any of your business?
Doesn't really matter because Mrs. M is here.
So the
no,
victim,
not Mrs. M. Reverend Green is here with a naked lady.
So the victim is Lyle Denson, who is a businessman and real estate developer who owns the theater along with his brother, Oliver, he of the Red House.
Yes.
Who names their kid Kane if they don't want their kid to be evil?
You got to have twins.
You have to.
Kane? Who names their kid Kane?
He's nicer than he should be by his name. But yeah.
The poor kid has to stay up all night and then gets Kristen's coffee.
Reverend Green, who clearly doesn't know how film editing works, thinks, I can take this film footage that's been cut from this movie up while they're showing the movie, and Colin will be able to splice it in, no problem.
This is not how film
works.
It's not how film works.
So he gets knocked on the head so badly that he has to have surgery to relieve pressure on his brain.
Yeah.
Which is like drilling a hole in your skull.
They completely kind of gloss over that. And he's like, oh, I have a Band-Aid.
Where they drilled into my skull to release the pressure, which always makes me think it's going to be like steam. Coming, like the pressure. Anyway.
Mike phone's the only doctor in town, and not Frodo's girlfriend is also there.
Kimberly. Chalmers refers to the room at the front of the theater as a foyer.
Yes.
So does everyone else.
No.
People in New Zealand pronounce it the way we do in Indiana. It's not a foyer. It's a foyer.
Which is incorrect. It's a foyer.
It's a different word.
It's the correct word.
It ends with ER. Foyer. That's how we say it, and that's how Chalmers says it. And I was like, go Chalmers. Mispronounce it like I do. Colin's alibi for the murder is that he was taking a pee from the fire escape.
And then fell.
Because it's not to code. But don't you think he would have known that door would close behind him?
And like more than Reverend Green, he would have been hurt.
Well, he lands in the big trash pile.
And I do know that he's
drunk.
breaks his
loose.
leg. He breaks his leg.
And cracks a couple of ribs or whatever.
Yeah.
But smokers know what doors close behind them and have door stops to shove in the door.
Yeah.
He would know that door closes and locks from the outside.
Absolutely.
Unless he's too drunk to think about it.
Yes.
And just so excited to pee off the fire escape. Like, that's a rough thing to have to admit you were doing as your alibi.
Poor Sims has to call on the brother and the son. Like, oh, by the way, your dad's dead.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Patricia.
Okay.
She who is the fundraiser for trying to protect the theater and hosting the event.
Now, she lived in Brokenwood, then had to leave. We'll talk about why she had to leave. And then waits 40 years before coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she's been back for months, but it's weird how sometimes it comes off as she just got back, and other times she's been back for years. Did you get that?
Yeah. Like, I think you're right. Months. Not long enough to be reestablished, but having lived there before, she's not new to town. Like, she has connections, I guess.
Well, and you know I hate everything in your life gets better as you come back to town, your hometown, the town that you grew up in.
Yeah, because reconnecting to people you went to high school with is always a great thing to do.
I could care less about that.
You're not going to move back to...
No. No, not even when I'm in a box will I be returning to Carlton Place.
So kind of let's summarize the situation here a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we could get too into the plot and not enough into the fun stuff.
Yes.
So Patricia has come back to town. She dated Lyle in high school and thought that they were going to be the love of each other's lives. But she also slept with his brother. She got pregnant and her parents took her away, right? Yep. But now she's back. And she and Lyle have rekindled their relationship.
Yes.
She wants to save the theater. He wants to develop the block. And so they come to a negotiation where they will not save the theater, but they will establish a new movie memorabilia museum in its place.
A museum. She's a movie
memorabilia collector.
Magpie, she says.
Yeah. Enough that she has her own company called Rosebud, Citizen Kane. And is her last name Wells, or does she want to call it the Wells? Yeah, her last name is Wells. Okay.
Yes.
That's funny, isn't it?
Yes.
Maybe she's connected to Orson. Anyway, so they agree that they're going to burn down the theater in what looks like an accident when nobody's in the theater.
Yes.
Not murder people.
Yes.
To not necessarily to get insurance money, but just to justify demolishing it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are 20 minutes into discussing this episode, and we have not even mentioned the person who is the killer yet.
So that's kind of like the larger story of why Patricia is involved and why Lyle is involved.
Yep.
And my favorite part of this whole big setup is that there are canisters of film in the projection booth that are not the movie they're showing, that should have been in a vault next door. I assume a vault like that is a totally legit thing to have because the film is so flammable.
You need to protect it.
And valuable.
Yes.
Right?
It's valuable, and
distributors would give a small theater like this the reels for a new movie, and they couldn't let them get out. Like if it was a new film that hadn't been released yet, it's got to go in the vault.
Yep.
Right, to be protected. And they're going to come back and get it, right? When the run's done. Like you have to get it back.
Never mind, these film canisters are as big or bigger than like garbage can lids.
Yeah, they're big. So there's a stack of film canisters
I got a picture of it
that are in the vault that then end up in the projection booth when the fire happens. And we get a couple of nice shots of the titles of these movies.
Yes.
None of them are real actual films.
Nope.
But I would like to talk about what you think these movies are about?
I've taken some time to come up with some answers.
So there are two canisters that say Rappahoe, the Big Blast.
So Rappahoe
is Easter Island.
It's actually Rapa Nui.
Rapa Nui,
Yes.
thank you.
It's Easter Island.
Of the famous big heads.
Yes.
What do you think that movie is about?
I believe that is about when the aliens came to Easter Island with their giant heads and landed, causing an earthquake, which caused a young woman to fall into the arms of a native. See what I did there?
I see what you did there. My theory is somewhat similar.
Okay.
So the people of Rapa Nui were self-sufficient and peaceful people for a very long time. This is true in history. This is true. They carved the statues for their ancestors, and it was a major part of their social system was to carve these things as a community.
Yes.
But archaeologists have found that basically at one point they suddenly stopped. And they theorize it's because they overpopulated the island and sort of they ran out of resources. And so that was an extravagance that they could no longer support, was spending so much time carving these statues.
Yes.
So they just stopped, right?
Yes.
And what they did after that, this is a big digression, but you'll see where I'm going. What they did after that to replace that part of their culture was they have a competition every year to choose the leader for the year called the egg hunt, where potential leaders are chosen from each family, and they go out and they have to find the specific bird's egg, and the first one to get one and come back, that tribe leads.
This is the Easter egg hunt.
It's the Easter egg hunt.
On Easter Island.
Though it's called Easter Island by the Westerners who discovered it because they discovered it on Easter.
Discovered.
They discovered it.
Yes.
That's when they discovered it.
Yes.
It had already been discovered. So I think the Big Blast is the first Easter egg hunt on Easter Island where they decided it was like the big party.
There we go. The Big Blast.
And you've just learned a little history about Rapa Nui.
I did.
Now you know.
Now I know.
Return of the Little Ripper is the second movie. What's that one about?
I believe this is about...
Oh, and by the way, there's two canisters about the Big Blast.
Yes.
There's part 1 and part 2.
I believe the Little Ripper is about...
It's Return of the Little Ripper.
A child who murders prostitutes in the streets of Wellington again. And he's an alien.
Yeah, because there must have been the Little Ripper first, right? And this is Return of the Little Ripper. So I'm not sure about this one because in Australian slang, Little Ripper means excellent. Like, that's really great.
Yeah.
So this could also be about a party. The first one's like, the Little Ripper. Like, it was a great time.
They all can't be about parties.
And the second one is...
They're clearly all about aliens.
Return of the Little Ripper. Like, the party comes back. Or a diminutive serial killer. I mean, that's obvious, right?
Some places, I think, call strippers rippers, too.
Oh.
I think.
I don't know about that one. How about Something Smells Fishy? That's the third movie.
This is a romantic
about
drama.
fishy aliens?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not every movie's about aliens.
Is it a bad party?
It's a romantic detective movie in which a fish and chips magnate is killed by his wife before expanding the business into the U.S. market. So he's going to move a whole bunch of fish and chip shops to the U.S. market, have them all over the place, including Bloomington, Indiana. But his wife doesn't want him to do this. She wants him to stay with her on New Zealand. And so she kills him and falls in love with the detective, and Something Smells Fishy.
See, my answer is a short silent film about a bunch of people in a house smelling something fishy and trying to find the source of the smell.
By Andy Warhol.
How about what might be my favorite, Journey from Uranus.
Okay, this movie clearly is about aliens.
Do you say Uranus or
Who
Uranus?
come on a ship from Uranus
Okay.
with their fudge guns to stop people telling bad jokes about their planet name.
Okay. I think it's an educational film about water treatment plants.
Yes. Excellent.
Journey from Uranus. And the last one, which has got to be the weirdest title, is
I have a
called,
doozy here.
it's called Straining Clay.
Yes.
Which is something that potters do, right? If you harvest clay out of the ground,
Yes.
you water it down, you make it into a slurry, and you strain it through a series of screens to get pebbles and stuff out of it. And then you let the results dry out until they're the consistency that you want to sculpt with. So that happens, but I can't imagine a film about that. So what do you think it's about?
This is a 1970s, early 80s reaction film to the Mad Max movies from Australia, which must have taken this region by storm.
Mm-hmm.
This is Australians' answer to the apocalyptic Australian movie with their own apocalyptic
So
New
instead
Zealand
of
movie.
Mad Max, it's Straining Clay.
No. Yes.
That's the character's
And
name.
the only way they can get water is by straining clay, getting the water out of clay.
Oh, I thought it was a person.
No.
Like Max is a person.
It could be, though, but maybe the lead character's name is Clay, too.
Oh, double.
And then aliens.
I thought maybe it was a documentary about Clay Aiken's congressional campaigns in North Carolina.
Maybe.
Where he ran for Congress twice and lost twice.
Maybe.
I'm sure it was a strain on him.
I guess so.
Dorks! We're dorks!
If you give us a bunch of movies and no context, we're going to come up with our own. Mike immediately, okay, so the murder happens. Okay, the murder happens. The fire starts. Mike runs upstairs with the fire extinguisher, puts out the fire, calls Gina. What is his second call?
I don't know.
Before he teleports to the hospital.
I don't know.
He calls the graphic design department at the cop shop to make them a map of the theater.
Oh.
Because
It's a good map.
the next morning,
He draws it on the dry erase board, doesn't he?
no, it's like a printed map.
Oh. Well, it looks like it was made in PowerPoint, though. It's just squares and
Okay, but somebody had to make that.
it's good.
I also noticed, if you remember, I had a problem with Kristen's sign on her desk. What was the problem I had with Kristen's sign on her desk?
I don't remember.
It pointed at Kristen. It was like reminding Kristen who she was,
Oh, yeah.
which is not the purpose of a desk sign.
No. A nameplate?
Yeah, a nameplate. Chalmers is also in the same place.
Also, on the night of the murder, Lyle, the victim, spends some time with his PA, Cherry,
Yes.
and then sends her away to go eat at a restaurant
Yes.
called Cowboy Restaurant.
Yes.
What is a cowboy restaurant?
I guess that's like a steakhouse. This is not a real restaurant, though. It looks like a real restaurant.
There's a cow
has
skull
to
on
be
the
a
wall.
re-
Does that count?
Well, no, they have a printed sign that's on glass.
Yeah.
There is a region called Cowrie.
And maybe there are cowboys there.
Maybe.
Maybe they raise cattle there.
It's like a very touristy place. So
That makes sense.
the biggest that's not the biggest problem I have with the episode, though. The biggest problem I have with the episode is they changed Frodo's sign.
Yeah.
They took all the fun out of Frodo's sign.
Well, he's not there. Kimberly's running the coffee shop. So, if Frodo's not there, he's not there to put the sign out.
I guess it's as weird as the constant references to Nowakwaki Falls that go nowhere.
That's
at
where
all.
all the teens go to make out. Didn't you know that? Everybody knows that.
I get
so much so there are greeting cards from there
I guess
that look like they were printed on your printer. We also get Briany, the Reverend Green's mysterious sister,
out of nowhere.
out of nowhere.
At first, I thought she was going to be homophobic,
She doesn't seem to be.
but no, she is just succumbed by the wiles of Oliver.
She's secretly in love with Oliver, her high school sweetheart, who's slept with Patricia, but she's long forgiven her. But she came back to town a month ago and didn't tell her brother because she didn't want him to judge her.
Also,
What? He's a Bible beater, you know.
The worst line in the episode is, I didn't know who the father was.
Well, she didn't know if it was Lyle or Oliver.
You have made some poor life choices as a 15-year-old.
As a 15-year-old, yeah.
If you don't know who the father of your baby is.
Yeah, and you know, so much so that looking at the baby wouldn't even give you a clue because they were brothers who looked too much alike.
Suddenly, Glenn appears.
For no reason at all.
So if you don't remember, if you don't have an encyclopedic knowledge
the
of
last time we saw
Brokenwood,
Glenn was on a video call watching a bad zombie movie with his girlfriend, the host of Antiques Roadshow, who's a killer.
It's not a bad zombie movie. Remember, Tim Baum was the star.
It's a
of said
purposefully
movie. Yes.
bad in quotation marks zombie movie.
Chalmers and Mike are like, what is that guy doing?
And we're like, what's that guy doing here?
And he goes, oh, I decided to move to Brokenwood. Why would he move to...
When your girlfriend kills somebody,
she's not from there.
No, move to the scene of the crime.
I guess.
This is where my girlfriend killed a guy on a garroting chair. It's awesome.
I guess.
What?
Mike finds a VCR.
Well, the library always has VCR tapes.
I do not have a VCR. I do have a video disc player,
yes,
but
you
I
do
not have a VCR.
Let's talk about Gina's poor job performance.
Okay. Gina sexually harasses Mike in this episode. Mm-hmm. She also does not give relevant information to Chalmers that she should be giving to him.
Yes.
Sent by Mike.
Yes.
She also talks about talking to dead people.
Which Mike does all the time. So my problem is the way she treats Chalmers.
Yeah.
That he's there for a professional reason to find out the cause of death, and she refuses to tell him.
At least he puts the forceps in the sink. So he picks up a pair of forceps. And then in a great moment of acting, the actor does that look of, what am I doing? Why am I touching this?
Yeah.
I shouldn't be touching this. I'm in the middle of another conversation. I need to get this off of my hand right now. And he puts the forceps in the sink. And I was like, yes.
Well, you know, Mark, the bear dances, but the tamer collects the money.
And I love that it cuts right then to Mike and Chalmers going,
so I'm the bear?
Am I the bear?
Am I the tamer?
Am I the tamer?
She's calling Chalmers an animal.
Yes. Which is racist.
And saying, well, it's just rude.
Yeah.
And saying that she'll only give information to his boss.
Yeah.
It's a fun joke that she's so into Mike that she finds excuses to be around him. But I think this is too far.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
And that's not even the naked bits of the episode because...
We haven't mentioned the killer yet.
We have not mentioned the character who's the killer.
We should mention the killer.
Okay, so the woman who stars
Charlotte.
in the movie, Charlotte,
She lives at a nursing home.
And she has a helper.
Named Ben.
In the greatest coincidence of all time, who happens to be the son...
of Patricia and Lyle or Oliver.
Yes.
Who has taken this opportunity to come back to Brokenwood with Charlotte to confront
his father,
who he thinks is Lyle, but could be Oliver, because Patricia put Lyle down on the birth certificate, but didn't really know.
Yeah.
And he confronts him in the booth and strangles him with film, which you can't even do.
You can't do. Why Mrs. Marlowe is important is Charlotte Chambers has a body double because even though the director liked her, she wasn't going to appear naked in the film.
But Mrs. Marlowe would.
So this is it.
She's up for whatever. She's a wild lady.
So this also implies, going back to the very first thing you talked about this movie, that this movie is pre-code.
Yeah.
What that is the Hays Code, which was an American thing, but a lot of international cinema followed it, which before the Hays Code, early 20s cinema was some racy stuff. Like, you look at an actress like Louise Brooks and you're stunned what was filmed and what was placed on camera and what was shown in theaters, which would be difficult even today. Mm-hmm. And that's why that was cut out of the film. That's why there was a body double. That's why Mrs. M appears naked, not in the episode, but in the movie.
You get to see her butt cheeks.
We get to see Mrs. M's butt cheeks.
Young Mrs. M's butt cheeks.
Yes.
And that's the clip that Reverend Green has that he wants put back in the movie.
But Mrs. M is not there.
No, because she's off paragliding.
Where is she supposed to be?
She's going to paraglide.
She on vacation?
She's going to paraglide off of a cliff
Yes.
into the ocean. That's not where you want to land.
But where is she supposed to be? Is she in New Zealand or is she in Australia or
somewhere with good phone reception?
I guess.
Because she's going to answer the phone while she's doing it.
I was 15 and my parents didn't approve.
That every day you're having sex with a different member of this family out at the falls?
By the falls?
I'm not surprised. So, Kane.
Did you notice that Sherry has a pug pillow?
A pug pillow? Yes. So, Kane is Lyle's son.
Yes.
And they fight, right? They argue a lot because Kane knows that Lyle is having a fling with his PA, Cherry.
Who he has a crush on.
And Kane has a crush on Cherry, but Cherry does not reciprocate that crush. Kane's upset because he's taken photographs of the two of them together, which of course break Patricia's heart because she thinks that Lyle, is for her.
The only one worse than Oliver is Lyle.
Yeah. But Kane's choice to resolve this is to go to Cherry's house and walk in the bathroom while she's in the shower like a scene from Psycho. With a knife.
And I think that's supposed to be more of a Psycho reference than it comes off as.
Yeah.
It comes off as a little forced and...
He says he goes to get the knife. He doesn't have the knife when he first comes in.
Yeah.
But then she closes the door and locks it. Justifiably so. She's upset. And he goes and gets a knife to open that door. Okay, Kane, this is a bad decision that you're making. And it's only getting worse.
I know why he's named Kane now.
Why?
Citizen Kane.
So we're supposed to think that Lyle was a movie guy too?
I guess.
Even though he has no connection to the
I tell you what,
theater other than as a piece of real estate.
Chalmers is no movie guy.
No. Oh my gosh, him and Mike talking about movies is so funny.
Yeah.
Rosebud. Well, I guess I don't have to see it now.
Yeah.
Because Mike does one line of dialogue from Citizen Kane.
Fast and Furious 5. The first 4 weren't that good, but the 5th one.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Is it?
No.
Oh, okay.
They're all bad.
Okay.
They're all horrible, horrible movies.
So long story short, Ben the nurse kills Lyle in the projection booth during the movie because Lyle is a bastard.
So
he's rude to Ben about being his son, and Ben loses it.
Someone on IMDb gets to the root of the problem here. Right? In the first 22 minutes of this film, 2 people fall asleep. A child wanders around. The killer has a vape and then does the killing. The Rev goes up to splice the film together. The projectionist goes out. Like a million things happen in the first 22 minutes of this film being shown.
Yeah.
Way too much. And
it must be boring.
The son comes in.
Kane.
Finds his dead dad and leaves without being seen by anyone. Mm-hmm. Like, the hallways are populated by people here.
Well, that's because Kimberly and Todd are out in the alley.
Yes.
So no one can see anything.
I guess. Todd, stop.
And Lyle can fit into the gap that Chalmers can barely fit into.
I don't want to be value judgy on Todd. He's selling the organic sodas, okay? Mm-hmm. But maybe work is not the best place to be lighting up.
Todd and Kimberly work everywhere. They
do work everywhere. That's true.
The farm, the wellness center, the movie theater,
Big Daddy
the
Frodo
coffee shop.
is just taking in money in this episode.
Frodo's off with Mrs. Marlowe.
Maybe Frodo is off with Mrs. Marlowe on vacation.
Or maybe he's staying at Glenn's house. They swapped houses for a while or something.
Yes.
Literally, the inside of Oliver's house is red.
Everything is red.
Just the walls in every room are red.
Well, I'm dying.
Whoa!
You just dropped that in a conversation?
I kind of like it. It's kind of pretty in one room, but the choice to do it in every room is it's a lot.
It's not the worst choice of the episode. The worst choice of the episode was Ben actually takes a sip of Kristen's coffee.
Oh, yeah. Wow. He's sorry for that, isn't he?
He immediately pushes it away.
So what happens after the episode? Briany and Oliver stay together until he dies, I guess.
Okay, so Briany and Oliver, since his brother's dead now, he can't hit on any of his brother's girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they're okay until Oliver dies.
Yeah. I think Briany and Oliver are going to stick together.
Yes. I also think
maybe Briany and Rev Green will make up and she'll realize he's not Bible beater judgy because he's gay anyway.
He's
so
the gay.
What does he care?
And that even though his partner,
Dr. Plummer,
manages to flirt with other men
who are his former patients. I'm sorry. I know it's against the law to have any shenanigans with your current patient, but it's unethical to have any shenanigans with your former patient too. You still have that relationship with them. I'm sorry. It's not okay.
The doctor is only there to look guilty. Mm-hmm. Everything he does makes him look guilty. And that's the way that character has been since the very beginning.
Well, and to be sad.
Yes.
He's worried about the Rev.
Oh, so then, okay. So Oliver's going to die. Briany's going to
go back to wherever Wellington.
Go back to wherever she was.
Patricia.
Kane inherits everything. Kane owns the theater now.
Yeah. Is he going to do any time for breaking into Cherry's house?
I think he should probably at least go see a therapist.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going on.
But I don't think he's going to go to prison.
I don't think he'll go to prison. I don't think Sherry will.
She has to choose to press charges.
I don't think she'll press charges. Sherry's out of a job because he's not going to run the company. He's probably got school on Monday.
Yeah. He looks pretty young. He rides that bike around. Glenn is going to stay in town. Mrs. Marlowe is back.
Glenn is in the next episode.
What about Patricia? Is she going to... They didn't actually light the theater on fire. So though they were colluding...
I think she's going to pay a fine because Mike's pissed at her for doing that.
Yeah.
I think she'll pay a fine, but I don't think the theater is going to survive. I don't think...
Well, Colin's out of a job then. The only thing he knows how to do is run a projector.
Colin needs to steal the movies back and go sell them on eBay and then buy a pack of smokes.
and a bottle of whiskey.
And go out on his roof, pee to his heart's content.
He can go with Mrs. Marlowe and pee off that cliff.
I guess.
The wind would just blow it right back on you, wouldn't it?
Oh.
You'd end up being all over yourself.
Oh.
And that, Maniacs, is exposed to the light on that note.
Luckily, the show ends with a Naughty Bits Theater thing. That was weird.
The restored version of the film with Mrs. Marlowe's butt in prime place.
So now they had to watch that movie, that bad, horrible movie again.
No, just that part.
Just that part.
I think it's fun that they do that.
Yes.
I think it's fun that she's proud of it.
I love all of that. But wow.
So not only is the film exposed to the light, Mrs. Marlowe's butt is exposed to the light. Hence the title of the episode.
Moon over Uranus's. Moon
Journey.
Over Mrs. M's Uranus.
Something smells fishy. Hmm? What? What is episode 6?
Episode number 6
of season 7 is...
Here's to You, Mrs. Robinson. Have you forgotten this episode?
Yep.
This is when Sims goes to solve the murder at the 70s swinger party.
Oh, that's right, because Mike's away mysteriously.
Yep.
Oh, Sims has to solve one on her own.
Yep. Kristen is left to lead the investigation of a 1970s party. It's a swingers
It's
party.
a key party, isn't it?
It's a key party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have that to look forward to next week.
Yep.
Anything else?
That will be coming out on the 7th of July. On the 2nd of July, the newsletter will be coming out.
Yeah. So if you're not subscribed,
subscribe to our newsletter. Somebody asked if we were going to be on Substack. No, I have some problems with Substack, but we are still using the free version of MailChimp because we're not at 500 yet. So,
yeah.
So
when we hit 500 subscribers, we may have to rethink it. But we're good.
I'm just so pleased with that newsletter, how well it's done. So thank you very much for all the things you say about it. We give a little schedule. We give a little picture of the dog, and I write up a little thing.
Yeah. It's like a 3-minute read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So until next week, bye, Maniacs.
Bye, Maniacs. Thanks for joining us on the Mystery Maniacs podcast. If you enjoyed our crazy podcast today, don't miss out on future episodes. Follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and exclusive sneak peeks. Subscribe, like, and share to spread the word. Bye, Maniacs.
So